Hey everyone, it's UA from the Strictly Broken YouTube channel, and today I'm doing a deck profile for another deck that came out of the Sword Art Online Alicization Volume 2 JP release. So this is an actual Fluctlight list. There's two main Fluctlight lists that came out of that set, and this one is the 6 Pants 2 Stock Soul build. The other one is Bar Choice, which is in another video on this channel, or if I upload this first, it will be on the subsequent day. This is my favorite one. This is the one that I like better, I think is stronger. And it is also the build that is most easily ported into English when Alicization Volume 2 comes out in English, because the Bar Choice deck is very reliant on 10th anniversary support. And this deck doesn't really need 10th anniversary support. There's like a couple par cards I play that are in 10th anniversary, but they're easily replaceable with other cards that are available in English. So this is a great deck profile to check out if you're gonna be looking into getting Alicization Volume 2 in English, and also just being very strong. This deck also plays in a way that I think is very unique compared to a lot of modern decks. It has a lot of tools that are just much stronger versions of old tools that I like to play in, like Weiss Schwarz of days past, right? Some old, very old Weiss Schwarz, talking about Akashi effects, talking about bonders that like Apple bonders. The deck has these tools that I just give me hella Weiss Schwarz throwback vibes. So I really like this deck because I'm a very nostalgic kind of player. I've played Weiss Schwarz for a long time, and it's really nice that this deck has updated, more powerful version of these old tools that I used to love to play with in old Weiss Schwarz. Anyways, I digress. Without further ado, let's get into this profile. First off, 4 copies of this Rize. It's basically a 2/5 passive level 1 on reverse Rize. So Rize, when it's reversed, you can check top 3, add a Fluctlight character, digit card. The fact that it's always level 1 is sick because your opponent can't deny it. A lot of people are playing, bottom deck level 0 bombs, stock bombs, clock bombs, and this card can't get denied by any of them. So you're milling every single time. Pushing your deck state, getting cards and pieces you need in your waiting room, because this deck does a lot of salvaging. Yeah, very solid card. It's also your ditch condition for your finisher, which I'll get into when I go into the finisher. So yeah, obligatory 4 basically, because it's a required condition for stuff. It is what it is. Next up, 4 copies of this card. So what it does is when it's reversed, you can put a card from your hand into clock, send this to memory, search your deck for a Fluctlight. And it is the memory condition for your 2/1 that you play. Your 2/1 stock soul combo that you play 2 copies of the Climax for. When this is in memory, that 2/1 becomes 11k base, which is really beefy for a 2/1. So it's very important this goes into memory. If it's not in memory, that 2/1 is 2000 power, which is basically not reversing anything. So the reason I max out on 4 of this card is because it's so important that this goes into memory, that drawing this as early as possible is like super important. I'd rather play more copies of a card that is not great later, if it means I can draw it early on when it's the best opportunity for this to go to memory. Basically, if you're using this card and trying to send it to memory at level 1 or 2, you're basically giving up a lane to try to enable your effects, and that's actually really poo-poo. I play 4 so that I can use this effect on turn 1 or turn 2 at level 0 when this feels least cumbersome or least shitty to resolve the effect for. So I think 4 is a must play, and it's not even that bad because your level 2, the 2/1 stock soul combo does stock charge. So this is just a really great card you can put into your stock because it's a useless card. You can just tuck it away into your stock permanently. Nothing wrong with that. You definitely want to play cards that you don't feel bad for stocking away, and this can be one of them, while also making sure you can draw this as early as possible. So 4 of this card I almost feel like is a must play. Nothing wrong with having a little bit of like a few bad cards in your deck if it means you can draw it early. Next up, 4 copies of this bond. It bonds to the level 1 combo, and it also gives the level 1 combo the ability to on attack top check, leave it or mill the card you're top checking, and gives the level 1 combo 1k power on attack. So this is like Apple's bond. Not exactly like Apple's bond, but bonding is something of like old Weiss Schwarz that I really appreciate this modern deck can use and have as a tool. It gives the level 1 combo so many stacked effects, right? The ability to scry, top check, leave it or mill it, and extra 1k is just, that's a lot of abilities. It makes your level 1 combo basically this turbo busted level 1 combo. Yeah, I really like this card. There's not really much else to say about it. The effect is also really good at helping you trigger pans to, re-loop your combo, and or in the mid game if you have this, passively on the field, your level 1 combos can, there's just higher value attacks, right? Because you can use your level 1 combo card as an attacker that makes sure you trigger clean, or trigger what you want to trigger, right? If say you want to trigger 1, you want to trigger 2, you can top check filter for those triggers that you want. So this making like the level 1 combo in your deck just a more powerful card just throughout the game is just really, really good. And these stack, right? So if you have 2 on the field, you can double scry. If you have 3 on the field, your 1 copy of the combo or 2 copies on your field can triple scry. So they stack, which is also really sick. Next up, this card is a card that interacts with your pants triggers. When you trigger pants, you may dish a card from your hand to check top 2 cards and add a card to your hand, so you can add events, which you do play, and climaxes with it. Second ability, pay 2 rest itself, ditch a Fluff-like character to salvage any Fluff-like character from your waiting room, and then salvage another one again. For 1 pay 2 ditch, you get to grab 2 cards. It means your selection is really good in this deck, but because they have to be the same name, it also means that this deck is not actually a great toolbox deck. You can't play a ton of 1-ofs that you have access to, because this card, to get its max value, you need to grab minimum 2 copies of cards in your deck. Meaning also that when this whole deck, you won't see a single 1-of in the list, because I want to make sure this card can resolve and grab cards when I need it to. Like if I were to toolbox with this card, I need to make sure I get the plus with it, or else it just feels really anti-value. So this card is like the whole build around of this deck, by the way. This whole deck revolves around this card. In a game, this effect gets used probably 4 or 5 times, even maybe more, because this card is just absolutely broken. The ability to get 2 cards instead of 1 means as long as your game plan is based on cards that you want to field multiples of, this card is just better than every Akashi, the pay 2 plus effect profile. It's better than every Akashi that's ever been printed. Yeah, this card is super, super good, and it interacts with your pants that you do play 6 copies of your pants triggers. So great card, great build around. The deck revolves around this. I want to open this card early, and that's why I play 3. Though you only want 1 in your back row, I like playing 3 so that I can, there's more chances for me to, just hard draw into this. I don't have to commit a search to it, so I can search other stuff. And yeah, it's just so important to have this card. I just want to play 3 copies of it. Next up, one of the 10th anniversary cards that you will not have access to in English is this spammable Salvage Brainstorm, but that's not to worry. There are a ton of different spammable brainstorms you can play that are available. There's even one in Alicization set 1 that you can definitely use. The reason I play spammable and not a plussing one is because this card pluses the bond pluses and pants triggers plus. Like you get so many pluses in this deck that you're not really needing a brainstorm that pluses you anymore. You need a brainstorm that can mill you out of bad deck states. You need a brainstorm that can basically be used more than once in the brainstorm, and this card lets you do that. This card lets you mill more if it comes up. I was testing initially with plussing brainstorms that tap self, but ultimately I found that when I do want to brainstorm, it's usually I wanted to brainstorm more than once. So this card is the brainstorm I ended up going with, and it does have Fluff-like trait, if you guys didn't know. It has 3 traits, which is kind of nice. Finally, last level 0 is this on play, top check, leave it on top, or send it to the bottom, and it is a 1500 pump on play. So I like this one. There's a lot of different power pumps you can choose to play. There's a level 1 one that pumps 2k, but it's on a tap. The reason I like the on play one is because you can make plays with this card at level 2 to scale your board in ways where you can kill all their cards and still play over. Like let's say you wanted to do triple copies of your 2-1 combo, and if you have the on attack power pump one, you can only do double because you need to proc the on attack effect. But because this one is main phase power pump, you can take that minus to pump something, but still get more copies of the 2-1 in play because you can just play over it. And you don't mind that because the 2-1 is huge. The 2-1 also gets you pluses and everything. So you can take that minus, but just get more pumps across the board. Not more pumps across the board, but you can take that minus, get the pump, and then play another one. So it's like just better value overall. I definitely prefer something that's on play over on attack. So I ended up going with 2 of this. Plus, this card is available in English. The 2K Power Pump on attack is a 10th anniversary card. So if you're playing English, this is a great card to play. And yeah, that's level 0 game. On to level 1s. 4 copies of the level 1 combo that this card bonds to. So it has plus 1k power on attack, and it has on attack salvage if you have experience 2 or higher. Getting experience is not a problem in this deck. You play a lot of level 2 or higher cards, and just being a on attack salvage combo, it's kind of sick. It's non-interactive, right? You don't have to worry about reversing, yada yada yada. Card is super good, and like I said, you can use the bonder in the mid game to always give this card a passive ability. So you have very high value attacks here. This card is very good, yeah, it comes with the pants too, so you can loop the combo. Very good card. Next up, 2 copies of this. On play, gain X power equal to the number of your Fluck-like characters on the field, and it has climax swap, so you can pay 1 dish climax, salvage a climax. Because you're playing a non-traditional climax lineup, you're playing 4-2-2. This card helps you toolbox the right climax in the right situation. Pretty simple. You play 2 because your Yu-Gi-Oh back row needs to grab pairs, so having 2 is good. Next up, 2 copies of a 1/1 early play killer, mainly for standby matchups. You need to clear their 2/2s. Standby decks win games when you're not clearing their 2/2s. So having a 1/1 card that can clear the 2/2s, very important. You play 2 so you can toolbox it with the Yu-Gi-Oh. And yeah, that's it for level 1s. On to level 2s. I got 4 copies of this 2/1 combo. This is the card that if it's in memory, becomes 11k. Its effect is, on reverse, you get to stop charge 2 cards from your waiting room, and Minami, so check top 4 and add a Fluck-like character. This card is a super stacked card because it's just so broken. 11k on reverse combo that does stop charge 2 and plus. Card is way overtuned, and definitely worth playing a non-conventional climax lineup to support, because it's not a finisher, but the card is so broken that it's worth fitting in the deck, and that's why I think that people first started doing the 4-2-2 split for this, because you really want to play this card. It's so broken. It also helps enable the finisher in this deck, because when you tuck two cards into your stock, like let's say you do this on 3rd battle, you can tuck 2 copies of cards that you want to grab later with your Yu-Gi-Oh back row, so you can do your finisher more efficiently. Your finisher specifically needs to dish this card to proc the finishing effect. You can just, put 2 of these into stock, Yu-Gi-Oh, get them back, finish, use the finisher play. Card is super good, and definitely the flavor of this deck. This is the Monogatari vibes. This deck has that kind of, Monogatari set 2 had the bar combo that when you play the bar, you stop charge a bunch. This deck definitely has those kind of vibes. This card is it's actually so broken. This card is unbalanced, super unbalanced. Next up for level 3s, 4 copies of Yu-Gi-Oh early play. I just maxed out on this. Card's actually pretty good. It's a 4 or more condition early play healer that attacks at 11/5. I just maxed out on it because traditionally this build can play 2 different kinds of level 3 lineups. So I play the 4 Yu-Gi-Oh, 4 Xenon. They're all healers. Xenon is your finisher. On attack, you can dish a copy of this level 0 Kirito to mill bottom 7 cards of your opponent's deck and burn for the number of climaxes that you mill. So if you mill 3 climaxes, you're doing it burn 3. I like this more than this suite more than the other one that you could do, which is the set 1 Alicization stuff, the 4 Kiritos and the 4 Yu-Gi-Oh early plays. That one's actually pretty sick because you're playing only 2 copies of this climax. That one's nice because the early play tutors the climax that you want for the early play. You can just sack it to get that climax, so it makes that finisher more consistent. The problem I had was when you're playing a 2/1 that's relatively big, if your opponent sees that you're playing that set 1 finisher, which is on reverse, you're probably just not doing that finisher ever, because they can just crash and deny your finisher at all times. And I'd rather just play this one that does not require a reverse. It also heals. It's also it has less moving parts, that finisher. You need the Yu-Gi-Oh's engrave to enable that finisher. And this one is just, though you do need this in hand, it's easier to make a play where you tuck this away so you can get like 2 and 2, so you can go double finisher combo. It's easier, it's cheaper, It's leaner, I feel like, and ultimately why I settled with this. It also heals, so you can play like a kind of grindier game, go back to 3-0. That one, if you're gonna go finish and you don't kill them, you're probably a little bit higher damage because it doesn't heal. So yeah, because you're playing, so in that lineup you play the other set 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! Early play healer. Because you don't have that one in this list, you can play this one, which is probably a better early play healer than that one. So yeah, I like this suite much better. But don't get me wrong, if you want to play the set 1 finisher, there are merits to each. That card's finishing effect is more potent than this one. That card, if it gets to go off, is a broken finisher. So there's definitely reason to play that card, but I just think this one is more consistent, easier to do, easier to pull off. So yeah. Final card in the deck, and kind of like an important card for this deck, is this 3-4 event. So what it does is you can blow up your field, sack 5 Fluff-like characters, and burn 1, burn 2, and then burn 3 to your opponent. This is like a important build around for the deck because your level 2 combo stock charges a bunch. It's also big. If it survives and wins field, you slap this event down, and your finisher turn is like absolutely insane. You get to do burn 1, burn 2, burn 3 into double icy. They call this effect icy tilt. Double mill 7. It's hard for your opponent to survive. I kill people very frequently from like 2-3, 2-4, 2-1. I've killed someone from 2-1 even with doing event plus double Xenon. It's a lot of damage. It's a lot of instances of damage. If they're not compressed, they're just dying. So yeah, this is definitely a huge build around, and works really well with the 2-1. You can only use the event if the 2-1 lives, because it's so costly to your resources. You have to blow up your whole field. If the only way you can justify doing it is basically when the 2-1s live across the board, your opponent triple crashes or something, just blow up your field, burn 1, burn 2, burn 3. It also gives the 2-1 like value, because some decks they'll win field at level 2, and then to play their finishers down, they have to minus off of the winning field that they got. When you play an event like this, when you win field at level 2, you can now cash in the field that you won into something that can close out the game. So event's really good, definitely important. I used to play 4, I cut it down to 3 because 4 events was definitely cloggy. In a game, you're never gonna resolve 2 of these. You have to lose way too many resources to do 2 of this card. So definitely didn't need 4. 3 is good enough. You just need to draw 1 copy of it in the game, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Can get it for you. When you trigger a pass, you can check top 2, and usually when you just open one of these, you just keep it in hand all game long, because you can do something like that, because this card grabs 2 cards of any card you want, so you can usually have like 1 slot in your hand that's just dedicated to holding something, diamond handing it for the whole game. So yeah, this card actually enables this more. So this card is so broken in this deck. That's it for the characters and events. Onto climaxes. It is 2 copies of Stock Soul. Its Stock Soul is level 1s and lowers. 2 copies of the Finisher Pants, and 4 copies of the level 1 combo pants. You want to play 4 copies of the level 1 combo one because it's the one you want to open every single game. The other ones, after you set up, have like a game plan rolling, it's easier to tutor out because you trigger a pants, you get this. You can climax swap for this pants. You can climax swap for your Stock Soul combo. Your priority definitely in first deck is to hold level 1 combo pants and the Stock Soul. Like once you see it, you don't really dish it, you just grab it, hold it, because making sure you can do this combo is very important. So you're typically holding like 2 climaxes in the first deck, and there's nothing wrong with that, because once you resolve this, you're getting so compressed that it's all good. Sometimes you'll get rushed to 2. Some decks cannot recover from getting rushed to 2 in first deck. This deck can, because if you get rushed to 2 in first deck, you just slap down triple combo of this, double combo of this, do the Stock Soul combo. You're charging basically an enormous stock. You're getting 10 stock that turn if you do triple in first deck. So once you go to second deck, your second deck is already compressed. When you have a card like access to a card like this, you really don't mind hitting 2 in first deck. It's actually probably more optimal to hit 2 in first deck than to not hit 2 in first deck. So that's a real pleasure that this deck has. Not a lot of decks can say I want to hit 2 in first deck, and Weiss Schwarz hitting 2 in first deck is almost like I feel like I lost kind of deck state situation. But this deck can capitalize off of it, which is also really sick. Anyways, that's the profile. It definitely is dragging to the 20-minute range, so let's just cap it here. I love this deck. This is my favorite deck to come out of Alicization Volume 2, and you guys saw me play with it a ton on stream, killing people from 2-1 and 2-3 and stuff. So that's really exciting. Anyways, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/SBTCG, where you can see a bunch of different SBTCG players, as well as myself, play decks and test decks and do shows revolving around reviewing cards and stuff. So definitely check out the Twitch channel. And yeah, it's UA signing off for this video. Peace.